Alright, what is the crack? You are listening to another episode of the From the Depths podcast. As always, my name is Emmett, and you're very, very welcome to another episode of the show. As you can probably tell from the title of this week's episode, I sat down this past week and I chatted away with Aaron and Jura from Limerick band Zephire. The lads are currently organising a fundraiser in aid of Pieta House to honour their friend Danny, who sadly died by suicide just shy of a year ago, May last year, during the first wave of the pandemic. He's sadly missed by friends and family, but the lads are taking some initiative, and as we touch on throughout the interview, the lads mentioned that there was a point in which they didn't know whether or not they were going to continue as Zephire, maybe just kind of leave it alone and everything in wake of what had happened. But since then, as time has gone on and everything like that, they hint that they kind of used Danny's memory as motivation to keep going, because they know that Danny would have wanted them to keep going and such, and they use that motivation and initiative to start the fundraiser. And my hat goes off to the lads, because they've already raised above their budget, and it continues to go higher and higher as every day passes. So my hat goes off to the lads, and my hat goes off also to anyone who donated to the cause so far as well. If you would like to donate towards the fundraiser that the lads are doing, you can do so you can find the links to the fundraiser on all the Zephire social media accounts. That's Zephire spelled Zephier, I spelled that wrong. It's spelled Zephyre. I'm fucking awful at spelling. But you can find it on all their social media accounts. And as well as that, to make it a little bit handier for you, I'm going to throw a link to the fundraiser in the link tree, which is in the bio on the From the Depths Metal Instagram page too. So if you're in a position where you can donate any money towards the cause, please consider it. And yeah, it's going towards a great cause. Pieta House do some fantastic work, and they are meeting a need in which our government is failing abysmally to meet. And I'd love to be able to say just in current times, but they've been failing to meet that need for the better part of a decade, if not more now. But it would be remiss of me not to say, it's probably obvious now from what I've just said for the last 2 minutes, but we do touch on the topic of suicide very, very briefly during the earlier part of the interview. And it would be kind of remiss of me not to mention that, because if you've lost a loved one or a friend or a family member or such to suicide, maybe this one isn't... this one might be a little bit emotionally triggering for you, like, do you know what I mean? We don't get into it too much, I have to say. If anything, we touch on the fundraiser, and we talk a little bit about Danny and such. But I think it very quickly turns from that to, I think it's very much because we are all kind of living in our own bubbles at the moment because of COVID. We kind of went on a kind of tangent between the three of us, where it went from an interview per se to those pub type conversations. Like, we were just having one of those conversations you'd have in the smoking area of a pub. Do you know what I mean? And I love that, because I didn't want the whole interview to be that, because I didn't want to, I didn't want to have the lads kind of leave the interview feeling any bit shitty. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they've mourned, they've lost a friend. Do you know what I mean? I didn't think it'd be very fair for me to dwell on that for way too long. Like, do you know what I mean? So it very much goes from us talking about that to talking about like the King John's Castle gig from nearly 2 years ago now, and then talking about albums and stuff like that. It's basically just three lads having a laugh, having a drink and a few fags. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm of course not drinking for it. Still off the drink. Just another 48 days to go, but who's counting? Anyway, I have to do a little bit more housekeeping before we get into this week's interview and all that crack. So, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, my name is Emmett, and you're very, very welcome to the show. Please stick around. If you are not new to the podcast, if you have been with us before, whether you're only on for a few episodes, whether you've been with us from the start, you're very, very welcome as always. And genuinely, it's very much appreciated you checking out these podcasts. If you want to support the podcast in any way, you can do so by following us on Instagram. That's at From the Depths Metal, and you can find us on Facebook at From the Depths Metal Radio. As well as that, I do a weekly show for Wired 99.9 FM, simply titled From the Depths. It's the namesake of the podcast. And that airs every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on Wired 99.9 FM, Limerick's only fully licensed student radio station. And basically, I just sit down and I play what I've been listening to throughout the week for you guys, and I rant a little bit in the same vein as the podcast, but it's just a bit of crack and it's something to kill an hour. So if you want to check that out, please do. Do I have any other housekeeping to do? I do have another bit of housekeeping to do. After me humming and hawing and all that kind of crack, trying to ponder whether or not I was going to do it, I have decided I am 110% going to go ahead and do some form of a live stream the Easter bank holiday weekend. And by a live stream, I don't mean I'm going to sit in front of my PlayStation, eat Doritos and play Nintendo. I am going to do some form of a virtual disco cyberpub type of crack. Some of you might be familiar with it. Scobes from Sentinel Records has done it with his Defenders of the Fate nights. Dave from Orion Hate and I did them the first lockdown. We did several. We did them for about 2 months, where basically we just played tunes, chatted for a minute or two, we drank cans. We had a chat function up there too, and people could have the laugh. And I'm gonna do one of those to make up for there being to make up for the lack of a siege again, due to the pandemic and stuff like that. So I'll figure out the logistics and stuff like that. But if you are out there and you're listening and you have any way of actually making that happen, please do. I did, obviously, from what I'm after saying, I didn't do the tech side of it. I literally, my only job with the live streams we did during the spring was basically to pick songs and get drunk. But I'm not going to be doing that this time around. I'll figure out how to work all that DJ software crack. But yeah, I'm ranting. Let's cut out an end time it's ranting. Let's get into the interview. So yeah, this is me sitting down with Aaron and Jer. Actually, before I forget, I did not cut and slice this interview, and there's a very specific reason for it. And I need to mention one specific point. Aaron mentions a person that he was close with passing due to suicide just over a year ago in late 2019. And at that point, Jer goes up to go to the toilet. I tried to slice it and dice it in a way that it would sound normal, because when Jer goes to go to the toilet, I tried to change the topic very quickly, so I don't want it to be kind of hanging over Aaron or anything like that. And I tried about 110 times to slice and dice that, and it just did not sound right. It literally just went from it sounded like so I was like, there's no editing that. There's no editing that at all. So I just left it in as it was. But yeah. So without me rambling any further, I've already rambled for about 7 minutes. Here is myself, Aaron and Jer from Zephire, chatting away. Enjoy. Alright, so what is the crack, lads? You are listening to I almost said the Metal Cell podcast. You're listening to the From the Depths podcast. I am sitting here with Aaron and Jer from Limerick band Zephire. Lads, what is the crack?
Not much, buddy. Not much, no.
So, this has kind of been with all the interviews I've done over the last 2 weeks now, this is kind of quickly turning into the common first question, but we're a year into the pandemic now, and since it's almost a year to the day since the lockdown thing started and everything else, so no one's been able to gig, but have you been able to keep active at all throughout all this, or what's the crack? Like, have you been able to write and all that?
As much as you would be hope, and to be honest with you, we're doing stuff on the side, we're trying to get shorts done and bits and pieces like that, but
we have artwork gotten done, which is, pending being released there in the coming weeks or whatever, with Ken Coleman done it for us.
Yeah.
But we have the couple of demos that we uncovered, and we have a recording in the works with Kieran Culhan as well. It's just a single, but we'll be doing other singles with him in the future. But I suppose, yeah, we're just waiting for the lockdown to kind of ease a bit so we can all meet up and finish things,
Yeah, that's the job.
We all live in different locations, and driving in the 5 kilometers thing's not worth the risk,
Yeah, that's totally it. Like that's one thing I need to ask now, is because I've seen you a few times, but who else is in the lineup now? Like, who else is in Zephire at the moment?
We've got a new, I think probably announced it. We have a new guitarist,
Shane
Daly, who's a wicked guitarist, and Jordan is playing bass for us now.
Yep.
And that's the only bit. So it's
Kieran parted ways with us there a good few months ago. He's got a job up in the Big Smoke, so he's too cool to be in a band with us. But we still love you, Kieran, and your Royal Blood covers were amazing. So bass master or master basser. Anyway, Yeah, so I'm playing bass now.
Adrian Skalski, Dylan O'Shea, myself, George, and Shane at the moment.
Yep.
That's the job. So you've singles on the way. I'm delighted to hear because like for you were like pre-lockdown, obviously. Now you were gigging constantly, like do you know what I mean? You were gigging a lot, like do you know what I mean? And that was one thing that like I just know myself as a puncher now that I was waiting for a while was for you to actually put out recorded stuff, like do you know what I mean? So that's deadly to hear. That's on the way.
Well, I suppose the crack was like we had a static base of ops, we'll call it, like in Danny's place where we were recording those few demos or whatever. They were supposed to be part of a bigger project, but there was obviously some logistics on their side, and there was a location change pending, and he got in a new place which he was doing up from scratch, you know, and then the lockdown hit, and I suppose that leads up to a situation where we're now doing singles with Kieran instead of doing an entire album that we had planned.
Yeah,
you know, so it's an unfortunate kick, but at the same time, like, you know, it'll be even better, I suppose, for us.
It'll be time to kind of reset and you know, think and get stuff done differently. Like
exactly, we have had, you know, however minor, we have had certain changes and stuff as well, which kind of, you know, in effect, that suited us then, like, you know,
you know, definitely.
The one great thing that I'm hearing from anyway is the singles thing, because it's one thing I think this day and age that too many bands are doing too quickly is just rushing out with that first album. And what ends up happening then is it totally gets overlooked. Do you know what I mean? It totally gets overlooked when you're just landed with an album and it's a band that, like, you know, the single compliments you so much more. Do you know what I mean? Like, because when you know, like you look at a band like 10 Ton Slug. 10 Ton Slug did that for the majority. They haven't an album out yet. Like, do you know what I mean? And they're together 5 or 6 years now. Do you know? And I think that's the thing is it'll compliment you so much more then, because down the line when the album comes out, the build will have been coming for a while. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it'll be more anticipated. Like, do you know? But can you give us anything about the singles at all? Like, are the ones that anyone that's seen you live be familiar with? Or
Cyclone is the name of the track, and we've been playing, say, coming up to before the lockdown is kind of one we've been kind of playing a lot, I suppose. When we were playing around, say playing Dublin, and we played Flippers a couple of times. We were kind of can I motor around that time?
It's probably the most technical and heavy track that we have. All in one. Like, it's a beast of a song, like, and we're all still learning it. I think I believe that firmly. Like,
it's how we're all kind of getting our things right, you know.
But it's that's why we decided we'll tackle the hardest one first, and then I suppose we have a diverse mix of everything coming in the following singles.
Yeah.
But we're trying to step it, like, you know,
longer and faster, and more kind of progressive.
What's our longest song at the moment is 7 minutes 55 seconds.
Something like that. Which
we're
is
pretty chuffed with that.
It's not bad.
We could go 10. We could go 10.
Probably
sometime, like, you know.
But they start to play the harmonica halfway through songs and just kind of space on the track, you know.
But one thing I will elaborate, I suppose, emphasize on is that it is going to be very diverse. Like, you know, you know, we don't like our songs to sound too much like each other at the same time. You know,
kind of just, it sounds very cliche to say, you know, but we don't really kind of we try not to stick to one genre. I know it's very cliche, but I think you can hear that though in the songs. Every kind of song is there's still a remnants of the sound we have, I think. Yeah. But most one track sounds the same, I find.
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
I pride ourselves in that, like, big time.
Yeah, and as well the whole playing in the standard tuning thing, that is class.
Yeah, we play standard, which is kind of odd. A lot of bands don't play in standard anymore, you know.
Yeah. You don't have to down tune to be heavy, you know.
That's it. But you know, that's a great way to actually describe you. Would be like, you know, I would describe you as kind of meat and potatoes, traditional heavy metal with loads of contemporary influence. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can hear what you listen to when you see live. Like, do you know what I mean? Which is great. Like, do you know? But it's your own thing too. Like, do you know? It's kind of like a melting pot. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've kind of congealed all the sounds and making it your own. And I'm really interested to hear how the singles sound now. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I can give you a private sneak peek after this, Emmett, if you like.
That's the job. Email it straight on.
Only for years, we go back years, Emmett, so sure, why not?
That's the job.
But, so there's a lot coming, I suppose. Like, it did seem for a while, like, you know, Jesus, are we ever going to get back to it? Like, but it's like, you know, we've seen other bands that have put out stuff and everything throughout the pandemic, and, you know, that's fantastic as well. There was always that little twindle of envy, but you know, everyone has their dynamics, I suppose, about being able to meet up and everything. So, you know, we're now getting stuff out, and if even if the lockdown goes on another while, we'll still try and stick it out. You know, I mean, gigs isn't everything.
We're still constantly planning, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but that's the thing though, is like I was chatting away to one of the lads there last week about like we're kind of assuming that gigs will be back in some form by the end of the year. Like, but like not, I won't say by the summer or anything like that, but we'd say kind of like around December or so. There'll be, even if it's limited capacity. But Jesus, like the buzz that's going to be going around at the time, like you know, if you put out singles around then, and you know, like Tombs have an album out now since last July. If they put out a new single, you know, all these bands have kind of, people have been recording from home and stuff like that. So we're going to be genuinely slapped in the face with 101 releases now, which is going to be brilliant.
It's going to be brilliant,
yeah, because I'd say like you probably heard this now. I was chatting away to John about this in the podcast about a month back. Was like we were kind of chatting about how attendance in general for gigs have kind of gone down in the last year or so before lockdown, but now it's got like when things kind of open back up again, it's going to be a great time to be a metal band in Limerick. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The demand is going to be serious.
Even before the lockdown, I found like the buzz around with young bands, like you know, like bands like Joe, like a few shout outs there, you know, to the boys, you know, and New Age Messiah, who I was playing with for a while, you know, Snow, Tombs, especially Jesus, like, you know, and Marana, bands like that. Like, there was a great buzz, man, going around, like, you know, pre-lockdown, you know, so you can only imagine what it's going to be like after, you know, when everything's going to hit like a nuclear bomb, you know.
That's exactly it, like, do you know what I mean? And what's going to be great now as well is, like, the fact that, like, you know, like, you didn't have stuff recorded before lockdown. And you're going to be coming out of it now with stuff ready to go and stuff like that. So when you're able to play a gig again, if these tunes are out, people will know the tunes and everything. They'll be screaming them back to you. Do you know what I mean? Like,
let's hope so. That's it. Let's hope so, man.
We have had like shout out to our buddy Andrew Hayes, who we played a gig there in Pharmacia, I think 2 years ago for the Sophie Lancaster Foundation charity thing that Ocean McCormick ran. And everything got held up to the point that we were getting on stage at 2 a.m. We were still like, fuck it, sure, look, we're here, like, and Andrew Hayes was doing the words of Rotten Hell for us.
Yeah, I didn't see them all back.
One of 4 people that were still there, you know.
Our number one fan, like,
it was, and you know, still go back, like, you know. But yeah, shout out to Andrew for always knowing Rotten Hell.
Yeah.
We hadn't even started playing it, and he was singing it, like, you know.
Yeah, Rotten Hell is right, Andrew, man.
But isn't that what's great, though, in fairness, about the local scene in general, though? Like, do you know what I mean? It's that, you know, even if it's mates, or that you could have complete strangers singing your shit straight back to you that you've never met before, and they're absolutely enamored with you. Like,
that's the biggest buzz of all, man. Like, Joy, like everyone knows rock when they make money off at the moment, anyway, off this project, you know. But that's why I play gigs, is for small little things like that, you know. Even the fucking, it's just.
I do it just to play gigs, man, because at the end of the day, like, you know, I don't. Like, it's not easy for most people to go up and perform in front of people, and it's still, you know, Jesus, I get nervous every damn gig. Like, I've never not been nervous for a gig or whatever. You know, it's still at the end of it, like, the feeling you get off it, it's like, you know, there's no drug you can take that, or that you can smoke that will make you feel like that, you know. Even if you play it badly, it's still a good laugh. You know? There's at least one person going to go, woo! That's probably by a pint.
That's it. You touched on it a few minutes ago that, you know, the pair of you were a New Age Messiah for a spell. So do you want to talk a little bit about how Zephire formed and stuff?
Well, as you probably know, when we were Beyond Transcendence many years ago, you actually gave us our first gig in Ennis. I think it was in O'Connell's. I think it was.
Was that upstairs? Was that upstairs?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, that
that's a restaurant now. That's a restaurant.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you can't gig there anymore.
Oh, wait, is that by the bridge there?
If they ever knew what was on the floor, oh my God.
Is that where the rowan tree is now?
I think so, yeah.
Rowan tree.
But, that was our first
It's just by it, just over that bridge. And then you check it right.
But at the very beginning, that was like, I met myself, Dylan O'Shea, and Adrian, which is the lead guitarist and the drummer. But yeah, Beyond Transcendence ages ago. And so just from lack of kind of effort from all parts, really, he kind of disbanded, and I kind of did my own thing. I joined New Age with my four of my best friends, like that. Yeah. But it was supposed to be just the
lads messing around. Like.
Messing around. Yeah, she ended up kind of doing stuff here. Like,
I believe Reese was in Beyond Transcendence briefly
for
as well.
Small bit, yeah.
So
and,
we've all heard out each other.
Yeah, literally. And so for it was like a year and a half, I think, or about a year and a half, where I wasn't, that which is now Zephire, wasn't really a thing, and you can probably say like what happened after, like
I suppose like the whole Beyond Transcendence thing had died out for I don't know how long, a good while or whatever.
Year and a half,
and myself and Adrian met in town there, and I was like, oh, I must have that jam that we were talking about years ago. And he's like, oh yeah. So met for a jam, and the lads showed me a couple of old tunes that they had written, and so I came on as the guitarist, and it was around the time as well. I moved back to Limerick. I lived in Ennis there for a couple of years with herself, and By happenstance, myself and Danny were sharing a place, and he got to, like, I showed him a couple of bad old phone recordings from band practice. He came down and he goes, listen, I produce music, like, why not let me produce you? And he kept driving us to, become an actual outfit, and we did eventually, and we decided
at this point I wasn't even in the band. This was a different band. I wasn't even
at that time. We were only gone on really, I suppose, recording things. We hadn't really thought about gigging or anything, but I suppose we took the plunge. Then we played, what was the first gig we played? The Horde, is it? Below I organised something down the Unleash the Horde gigs at the time. The first one I said I'd throw Zephire on because pop the old cherry or whatever, and we got itchy for gigs then after that, I suppose, like, we kind of were like, oh, that was good, like,
Yeah, but even to go back to those recording, like, when I got asked it, because we did everything demo-wise recorded, and we needed to come back and do the songs that I'd done. And that's those recordings that were actually continuing or going to release soon, are those recordings that, like, when I just joined the band, or joined the band, I should say, and first met Danny and all that, and Jesus, like, they went a bit of hand from then, like, we recorded 4 tracks. We put 2 up online on YouTube, and then the other ones just got lost in
the ether somewhere.
So we didn't actually.
I was going through my emails last week then, and like, whatever, I was looking for another old snippet that we had recorded, and didn't I see Danny's email from, he obviously sent it to me years ago, and I didn't remember, but there they were. I downloaded them, and I was like, Jesus Christ! I got into Smokey straight away, and I was like, dude, we're releasing that,
shocked, like,
we're gonna, we said we do the Pieta House bit then, like, and just, not as much about the songs, it's just, that was a memento of his, but it's more about the cause of Pieta House, I suppose, because unfortunately, like I was saying a while ago about the in-between bits about his studio and everything, he had the studio near built, and we were still in lockdown, so we couldn't do anything with it, and unfortunately he took his own life last May. And there was, look, tragic, like, but we decided, like, it was kind of dull there for a while as to whether or not we were going to meet up again, but we actually said, like, for the sake of the effort he put in and everything, it would be a shame if we didn't.
It really was the 6th member of the band.
It was the 6th member of the band.
As cliched as it does sound, like, it really was, like.
Yeah, and it's like he was hearing, like, he always said it, like, you have something, like, and we thought, like, you're just being nice to my cousin, no, whatever, just being nice or whatever, and he always kept saying it, like, he made it his business, keep letting us know, lads, you have to, like, get recordings.
Very much so the driving force of the band.
It was pretty much the glue that brought us together, and we picked the name Zephire at the time. Sure, we said we'd give it a go because of how much he believed in us and everything, and obviously, like, it hasn't been a year yet or whatever since he passed, but our resolve has never been stronger, as Palpatine said on Star Wars. Hasn't been stronger. But anyway.
But that's, I had no idea that you were that close to not meeting up again after that. To be honest with you,
we never really said it. It just, nobody said it to each other for a good while after it, about, like, the Zephire chat went dead for ages.
It was very hard, like, on all of us, when he did pass, like, it was very tough on all of us in individual ways,
Absolutely.
We all had moments with Danny that were just, because he was like a brother to us, that, like,
and you were so close to them, like, do you know what I mean? Like, the lot of you would have been so close to them, like, do you know? Like, do you want to? I don't know if this is too sensitive of an issue to even bring up, but how hard did you find? Did you think, considering you were, like, we were still in lockdown when Danny passed and stuff like that, or stuff had just started to ease, but everything was so, like, the whole world was kind of in a state of confusion at that time, and when you get rocked in with something like that, you know what I mean? How would you feel now, being so far removed from it immediately happening? In retrospect, how do you feel, like, about that time? Do you know, was it, like, I don't know how to. I'm kind of messing my words up here, but, like, did you find it harder?
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, did you find it harder, given that we were in lockdown, going through it, or?
It was, like, we obviously at the time, I think no one expected the lockdown to go on for this long. No one expected it to be, like, as big as it was, Like, just another, like, swine flu or Ebola thing, like, but obviously it ended up being way worse than we thought. But then obviously in hindsight, like, when Danny passed, really was it was a huge, like, it was.
But not to mention the group and our friends that we've had. He has many group of friends throughout Limerick. He was very well known. He did art, he did sound engineering, he did like, he had so many people that knew him, and I didn't, like, he he used to say, you know this person, that person, you know, you might be chatting and, oh yeah, this person, like, oh, yeah, I know them. Always, he knew everyone, right? But it didn't really show until when he passed. Like
the effect of
the amount of times I've seen him pop up on Facebook, even on like stuff that of people that I'm not friends with, say, or whatever, someone might share, blah blah blah. It's just crazy. Like it didn't really show until then, and like, geez, I never forget it because like I never lost someone so close before, and like I was in the middle of, like, I probably shouldn't be saying this. I went all PPE'd up. I actually was recovering from COVID myself, and my missus actually actively had it and couldn't go to the funeral. But like obviously, like loads of people still came out, and we did a lovely card of honor thing for him when he was being taken away. And there was the strangest thing though. Do you remember the robin?
Yeah.
A robin flew down onto my uncle's car, and it, like, you know, when a bird will fly away from you, this thing was letting us pet it.
It was really weird.
We thought we were going crazy,
really
like.
strange,
But yeah, I was walking uptown then after it, and all, I seen a van, like robin cleaning services, seen robins flying over everything. It was so weird, like.
But
so,
it was just to get back to the initial point. Like it was, I found, like, for me anyway, personally, like it was a big blow musically, confidence wise, even because I always found with Danny, he could always get the best out of me.
Yeah.
Because he did our sound as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He did our sound a lot, like at gigs and shit, like so.
Yeah.
For me, it was a big confidence kicking the stones. You know what I mean? It wasn't.
Yeah. Anytime Danny did sound for us, like it was like he had the Market Bar. You know, I don't know if you've been there. It's really small, but
it's as narrow
Market
as
Bar
stuff
sounded like Dolan's Warehouse out of. I don't know how we did it. Like mine was incredible. Like
great.
So, you know, he was just a shame. Like he's pure talent. Like, you know, and he never studied sound engineering. He was just really talented at it. Like, you know. But sure, much love and respect to our Danny. He'll keep us going anyway into the future, I believe. Anyway, 100%. Like, you know, we're doing it for ourselves now, like, and everything. We were, you know, it was never just for him or whatever. We were doing it for ourselves. But like,
it's very much so a kick to get things
it's that push now to
you know.
But it's great to have that though. Do you know what I mean? It's great to have that thing where it's like, although like for everyone on the islands, you know, playing in bands, recording, it's all a hobby. Do you know what I mean? But it's great to have that driving force, even though it is a hobby, that you want to make it the best you can. Do you know what I mean? If there's days where like you have to rehearse now going forward and stuff eases up, because after a while when everything goes back to normal, do you know, everyone has this where X amount of rehearsals in. Do you know, some days you're kind of not feeling it. You're like, oh, do I want to go to practice today or whatever? But that'll kind of be a conscious thing now. Do you know what I mean? Like even when it comes to recording,
no one's going to miss a practice. Yeah, that's fact.
Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's totally it. Like.
100%.
But who was it that had the thought to do the fundraiser for Pieta House? Where did that
Adrian, our guitarist Adrian, we had this back to the point where we actually found those old recordings from years ago, and we thought, geez, actually this sounds fucking brilliant. And we said it to the lads in the chat, like, do you want to release them? Adrian was like, why don't you make me release them and make a fundraiser for Pieta House or something? So we were like, 100%. So the next day, literally, which was only last
weekend,
last Saturday,
today's
Thursday, sir. And in the space of that time, we've raised almost €700 nearly.
Well, we put up a goal initially of 650 just to keep it, you know, and we're running it up until the anniversary of his passing on May 14th. So we put it up, and within a day and a half, 2 days, I suppose, we've exceeded our goal now. I know it's.
But even back Monday, we had like 600.
Yeah, you know, the support has been incredible. Like, you know, we've had Pieta House on the phone as well, you know, looking to help out with it, which is brilliant as well. So, you know, it's, I suppose, like I said a while ago, it's like, even without the recordings, I suppose the recordings being found was the trigger to us starting the charity thing, which is great. But, like, you know, people are welcome to listen to recordings as far as we're concerned. We're not going to make a profit off them.
We're not. They're only old stuff from years ago, like, you know what I mean?
You know, and we just feel like it's the perfect package to kind of get closure, I suppose, on that chapter.
I find even in Gerald agree with me like that, like those recordings are like the last of like Danny's legacy with us, as a band. You know, it's kind of nice to throw them out there and then do something as well for.
Yeah, and indeed the lads in New Age. So at the same time as us was recording stuff with him as well.
Exactly. There's after when the New Age Messiah songs up online. Danny recorded that as well. Just demo, like they weren't even mastered that, but the quality I think
same as our one.
Was just brilliant, like, you know. He was just talented in that respect. But as I said, back to the point, I definitely was definitely a trigger anyway to do the charity.
Yeah, and do you know what? It feels good as well, like to actually, like outside of music and all that, to just be, you know, helping a cause that's a problem at the moment, like especially in Limerick, like.
So I've had, even before Danny, I had a friend that passed away from suicide as well, Antoinette Massey.
Oh Jesus!
Not
Actually, forgot about that. That was
Yeah,
only over a
you
year
would know
ago as well.
Antoinette as
Actually,
well, like the lads in Ennis would have known her from Labas and stuff. And that was like a big blow as well. And then like shortly after then, you know. So I think it just made sense to do it, you know.
I'm just going for a slash, sorry guys.
Do you know what I mean? Like this is what I have to put up with now constantly, like in the middle of an interview, like I have to go for the slash. Like, all right.
Do you know something? It's nearly better I don't do the video for this. I could have put up like in bubble writing, like the Ballymore thing, just professionalism now, just across the screen.
I know, yeah. I fucking knew he'd do it as well. I knew he'd fucking do it. Like.
No, I had to start going before doing the podcast now, because like I put out I think it was a 2.5 hour one there on Monday, and my God, like we could have gone for another hour, would have been no hassle on my end. But I spent a good hour 40 of it, like sitting down in the chair, and like I can't get up to leave the podcast because I'm hosting it, like, so I need to know if there's bits I need to take out. So I'm just sitting there, literally crossing my legs, just like, mother of fuck, what did we do?
You have to have like a bottle next to you, just kind of like, yeah, keep talking. There's, oh god, the other going and everything, like.
Oh, that's it. Like,
you definitely cut this out, like, you know. No. But anyway,
the only reason I said I could jump out for slash because no one could see me. So.
but yeah, look, yeah.
Sure. Well, 1 second now. I'm after knocking out my headphone. 2 seconds zoom. There's professionalism now. Me breaking my headphones in the middle of it, like, do you know what I mean? But here, have you a preliminary? 1 second. 1 2 1 2 1 2. There we go. We're good. Have you any type of a preliminary date for working with Kieran now? Is there anything? Has anything been done with Kieran with regards to singles? Like, have you gotten any?
We've tracked vocals, guitar, and drums at the moment.
What the story is so we have one more layer, I suppose, of guitar to throw down just for
the rhythm to get on,
and I have to go in and record my bass bit because in concurrence to me becoming the bass player, Shane joining, I have just needed a time to rewrite the bass and stuff, and we were in lockdown, so I'm ready to go when Kieran is.
Yeah.
Kieran is actually really good to work with as well.
It was kind of surprising for me because I didn't know. I saw it was the cranky sound guy, you know, which he has every right to be. I was actually talking to him about this as well.
I think it's the mustache.
No, because he's his job. He's you have to off the stage, do your stuff, you know.
He's actually,
but he's to work with. Yeah. He's phenomenal. He's excellent, like, you know, and he's.
I think we own a point for every time we've had to borrow a cable off him at a gig.
You know what I mean? But no, even when they're recording stuff, he's just he's excellent. Like, even like I was talking about my confidence and stuff. I used to go in there like, oh Jesus Christ! I didn't even practice. God knows how long. Do you know what I mean? And go in there, he just made me feel so relaxed, just chill out, like, and you'll hear the product. Hopefully, George probably send you on the snippet. Like,
I'll send you on a bit afterwards.
But
that's the job.
Yeah, I mean, he's just caring. He's just chill. He's so chill as well. Yeah. Like it's like he's not whatever I perceive to be like Joe the gigs. Come on, like he's a very kind of busy guy.
Yeah,
pure chill, relax, sitting down, just let's work away, do your thing. You know,
good setup there as well. Actually,
yeah, he's class. Right?
Yeah, he's working on loads of bits of the moment. He's doing the I don't know if it's done. I don't know if they're still working on it because everyone's kept it so hush hush. But I know he's producing the 10-ton slug album. I know that's on the way. Yeah, because someone mentioned that on the Metal Cell a few months ago. Can't remember who, I can't remember where, but I know that there's an album coming at some point from the lads. But I know Kieran's doing it because I don't know exactly now, but I heard that they had started like working on it after they played Bloodstock the year before. Yeah, the year before last. So busy man. I'm seriously looking forward to hearing the singles though. Like, do you know what I mean? And I need to actually sit down and listen to those tracks that you put out as well. I didn't see them up at all. I just saw the fundraiser thing.
We only posted one, and we didn't even release them.
We're going to release the second one of the demos we found, I suppose. We might do it tomorrow. Yeah, a week later, kind of a thing.
That's the job.
Yeah. Like even for like obviously Danny hadn't mixed or mastered those demos at that point because we down to.
But their demos like they still
sound really good.
They sound really. I wouldn't say polished like because we don't play with a kick like. So
they're not a Metallica 1981 cassette tape boot.
No, they're pretty. They're decent. I think they're decent anyway, but we don't play with a kick, so it sound. I think anyway, it sounds very raw. And it sounds like you'd see it. It sounds exactly like you'd see us live, basically.
Yeah,
that's the job. That's what you want, though. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's what
I
you
never
want.
like playing with a click anyway.
I hate that.
Never. It just takes away from the.
Yeah.
You know, obviously,
The
eventually,
rawness, like,
you're playing certain fucking do you know what I mean? Dream theater scales. You have to work with a click because it's just kind of.
It complements some. It complements some music. It doesn't complement others. Like, do you know what I mean? It's very case by case. Like, do you know what I mean? Just because I forgot to ask a second ago. Anyone listening in, where can they find the link and the information for the fundraiser that you have?
On Facebook mostly, because it goes straight from Facebook straight to Pieta House.
No, I might I probably should have done it a few days ago, but I might hop on Instagram in a while and do a push on that. And
if my own Instagram and my own Snapchat, I've been posting it a lot, but I'm obviously not friends with everybody on Snapchat.
For some reason, I don't know, is it just me being tech or Instagram clueless, but I can't put up the actual link as a status. I can only put up a picture of it.
I'll help you, love. Don't worry.
Oh yeah.
I've struggled with that. I've tried to do that before too. I'm telling you, man, we're not tech savvy. We're not tech savvy. We're not young enough to be tech savvy, even though we're still babas in the grand scheme of things. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, honestly,
when you think you're tech savvy, and then you try and prove facts for the people who actually are, and then they turn around correct you. You're like, shut up. But,
I've tried to do that. I've tried to do that with something as simple as putting up the Spotify link to this on an Instagram story, and I can't do it. Like, do you know what I mean? And that, like, every influencer can do it, and I'm like, how can these influencers do it? And I have a brain in my head, and I can't figure this out. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm like, what's going wrong here?
Sure, look, we're all laymen at the end of the day, still. You know.
That's it. I'll ask you a few more questions. Main thing I want to ask you, because John mentioned when I interviewed him there a few weeks ago that what was it? The siege in October, because they kind of assumed they wouldn't be able to do anything in April. He's 3 days put aside for that. Have you been contacted at all about that? Because I don't know if they've even contacted anyone about it yet, but I'm nosy and I want to kind of see now if people have been getting messages.
No, not at the moment anyway at all. We were supposed to play the last siege.
Yeah.
That was on, but obviously,
maybe
didn't happen. Maybe it could be well eventually. Like,
what was the last thing we played for the lads? But Bloodshot Dawn, wasn't it?
Bloodshot Dawn.
Yeah.
Jesus, was that this time last year or was that January last year? I remember that was pretty. That was like one of the last games.
That was good fun actually.
10 tons was the March before, I believe.
Yeah.
I think so. I can't remember. All this fun. I showed up and played a gig. I just kind of forget after like the day later. I say my score gigs.
All right, cool. So here, what we do. So you have the singles coming out. Got the fundraiser covered. I'm just checking off the things on my own head now because I'm pure simple and I forget them otherwise. Is there anything else that I'm leaving out that you have in the pipeline? Because I
like after a good night out, I like chicken hut and a can of Coke. I suppose no, we kind of touched on that.
We touched on most of it, yeah.
And I suppose we just keep going and hope that we'll be able to play gigs soon. You know,
yeah, hopefully.
That's the main point, really.
Yeah, I'd say we're closer to the end of that tunnel now than we are to the start. Thank God, like, do you know what I mean? With the vaccine rollout and everything going on, do you know.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, literally, like, you know.
Yeah.
It's a bit like the last 3 Star Wars movies. You pretend they just don't count.
But I honestly think I think this whole year says humbled a lot of people in terms of everything really. So not going like and get people a perspective on things like, especially as you touched on when we talked about Tall John. I remember listening to it like for people, and I'm guilty of it myself. You know, a couple of gigs there I should have went to.
Same as.
I haven't went to, you know. But I think after all this fucking shit is over, like then we'll actually like the doors will be flooded with people. You know?
Oh yeah,
absolutely. And for even not for the bigger acts, like, but even for young bands coming in, because people just want to see live music, man, and it's just going to be an absolute like just a tsunami of crowd. It's gonna be a great time.
Yeah, absolutely.
After this, like it's gonna be a great time to be around, sing, you know.
But you know what's going to be awful is like, you know, when the first gig happens, and I only thought about this yesterday. Now there'll be such a long wait for that first gig, right? When that first gig is over, and everyone's walking out of that first gig, man, there'll be fucking tears. Like, just let me back in, just let me back in.
Yeah.
You know? They'll be
locked down tomorrow again, please.
People like preaching in the streets.
Yeah.
It's about time. Preaching.
John 3:16.
Oh god.
All right, cool. So yeah, we've pretty much covered everything. So there, lads, like, you know what I mean? And do you know what the worst part about is? We'll have to do like a catch-up one, like when stuff reopens, because like
Of course,
it's
definitely,
it's
man.
been the
Yeah,
hardest part of like when you do interviews during all this kind of crack. Do you know, you can only do X amount because you're limited. Do you know what I mean?
of
So
course,
it kind of
yeah.
limits the interview too. Do you know? Like there's, do you know, like even on my own end, like, do you know what I mean? Like when I started putting together stuff to start the podcast, I have fucking 6 condenser mics here beside me because I thought, me being a fool, I was there last spring and I thought, oh sure, I'll be able to do interviews now with people during the summer and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And I had written you down as one of the ones for during the summer there last year when things would
I
have
remember
opened
you
up.
were saying it, sure. I met you inside Tom Collins' that time, remember? Yeah.
That's it, yeah. And I
I get you on the podcast and I started, man. I was like, no hassle. Like, actually, I'm saying to sure. So he said to me about an hour ago, like, you know.
Yeah. I suppose when things come back and you know, we have gigs, like it's going to be like, you know, I think people are going to appreciate their local scenes a lot better as well. Just, you know, on a side note, by the way, I forgot to say that. But yeah, it would be better if we could, like, you know, like, not to sound too cringe about it, we can all just like come together a bit more and
I think so as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like one thing I've learned, like, from, I suppose, the variety gigs that the Bad Rep lads have put out, is that, like, you go to one, like, even if you don't particularly listen to the band in the first place, you go and, like, the amount of times I've been, we'll say, converted, like, okay, I actually love this.
Even to follow up on George's point there, follow up on George's point there, man. Like, I remember when I was listening to the Tall John one, I was like thinking about, I was like, Jesus, like, if it wasn't for the Siege, like, I wouldn't listen to half the fucking bands I do, man.
Yeah,
you know, because
totally.
when my first Siege, I think I was 15, I think, and I'm 23 now, like, and going there and like, I couldn't listen to black metal. Thought it was the most repulsive thing I ever listened to, right? Yeah. Couldn't listen to it. I was like, geez. And now fast forward, like one of my favorite bands is like Golgoroth, like, and I'm still wearing a grindcore. I'm there wearing a Napalm Death t-shirt, like.
Literally, like, I'd have been the same, man. Like, you know, you rock into the Siege when you're 15, 16 years of age, and there's lads with tattoos on their head and fucking yours with fucking holes going down to their fucking shoulders and their earlobes.
I remember
like,
seeing that guy as well. I started to get to know the guy I'm on about. I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, he was almost getting radio with him, and I was like, Jesus.
The best example, I suppose, that you know what, it was like, do you remember when Amon Mart and the Behemoth played in the Castle, lads? Like, we had that limit.
Oh, I was with bells on. Brilliant gig.
Like that, like the thought of it and the attention that it got in the radio and the media and all that beforehand, I was there going, like, do you know, I had this feeling deep inside. I was like, this is too perfect and too good to be true for Limerick. Something's going to happen. And I wasn't wishing bad on it, you know, obviously, but I was like, it's going to get chance. I feel it. Something's going to happen. Like, something is going to happen. And it didn't. And then just to see, like, not only people in Limerick, but people that are coming from you know, other counties. Like, it's like we're always the ones going to other counties to go to these concerts, Marley Park and blah, blah, blah. And we're always the outsiders. And we were there going, like, we have people from the outside coming to our city to come and see this spectacle. Like, these two huge bands, like it was incredible.
It was incredible, yeah.
It was, and that's absolutely stellar work put in from the lads. Like that must have took them a long time to organise. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as well to get into a castle as well. Like, do you know, that's
perfect to see him on a mark. Like, you know, that kind of.
I suppose we very
progressive
people, you know, running the castle now, maybe because they were just, you know, if this was 20 years ago, they'd be like, oh no, Jesus, not that music. You know.
But you know what's cool though? I would hope that, like, because John's done 1 or 2 interviews now talking about the castle gig, and just the logistics of it were a nightmare, and it worked out brilliant. John nearly sold out and everything. I would love myself now if the Milk Market, you know, that big space they have where like Chanel. That's it. I'd love now if, like, you know, obviously it couldn't be a band like a Monomart or Behemoth because the space isn't there for pyro.
Someone like Primordia or something.
Exactly. There you go. Do you know what I mean?
That'd be fucking brilliant, man.
I was trying to get that label in there. Actually, that one, but didn't materialize. But like, I would have loved to see Dead Label Rockabilly like that as well.
Oh yeah.
Like, no, not everyone says, but I like one of my favorite bands personally. Like, I think they're excellent. They're jumping through hoops. They're amazing.
I've had the pleasure of playing with them twice over the years, and both times I've been just blown away by them.
We played them recently. Yeah.
They have a mad work ethic, though. They have an insane work ethic. You can see it, boys.
Yeah, it's like, do you know what? Like, I hate, like, you know, like, obviously to me, it's like. I don't know, people probably won't understand the way I'm thinking about it, but it's more I suppose refined and family friendly, even though they're brutally heavy, like they're still really popular. They're
not really underground.
It's just heavy metal to me, like, man. I don't care.
The thing is, everyone knows me. I'm a sucker for a groove.
Yeah.
I just love that kind of groovy shit. Like everyone knows me. Like Pantera was like my fucking when I was younger. I loved fucking Pantera. Yeah. But back to the point where we were talking about King John's, I suppose.
I'd love to see less Bull African. Sorry, I have a tendency to waffle. Sorry.
Yeah, do you know the main hassle that came about from it? I'd say it wasn't getting people in there because there's always gigs in there and everything like that. I think the logistics against it, obviously, like when you have the likes of Gavin James and stuff like that, you're going to have confetti pyro, which is pretty easy to organise. You know, that's pretty safe. Yeah. The fact that there was so much actual like fire pyro, like, do you know what I mean? And as well as that, you did have the Bible Brigade as well knocking on the door, like, do you know what I mean? Because for love nor money, do you know, Ireland might be very modernized and stuff like that, but we're still very deep rooted in Catholicism, like, do you know what I mean? So that's constantly going to be a thing.
Even that day, sure, it was like a former Mayor of Limerick or something saying that, saying that, like, you know, and fucking Norgal from Behemoth was like, oh man, he was like fucking fucking out of it, like, and I was like, what? And I was like, fucking rightly so. Like,
I was actually
because at the end of the day, it's only
music.
It's only a gig, like.
No
one's gonna sit there and like, oh my god, let's be satanic for a day, like, and the whole world becomes like, Joe, let's just get a fucking grip, like.
And nobody complains.
It's a gig. It's a bit of fun, and you know what? At the end of the day, like, it brought a lot of people that kind of. Wouldn't even listen to metal, I find, even because it was just fact that it was in Limerick.
Yeah.
People coming together. So,
I remember when Amanda Martha ran, the singer made that point. He said that, like, it was Nurgle when Behemoth ran, saying, nobody can tell us, blah, blah, blah. He gave this big speech about, those points that were made. And then when Amanda Martha came on, nobody had a problem with the fact that there was a Viking metal band coming to play in a castle that once upon a time, as you said. No one cared about that. It was the whole raped and pillaged.
We made that walking out of that gig. We made that point myself.
It was bad. Like, it just, I suppose, as well, like, if that fella wasn't the former mayor of Limerick, like, nobody would have cared.
No one gave a shit. No one didn't care, really. No one actually did really give a shit, like,
I was chefing out in the dare at the time when I heard that on, wasn't News Talk, whatever it was on. I remember listening to it, and I'd already been annoying my colleagues about this joke, because it was all over papers, and my colleagues at work had their heads wrecked about this gig that's on the castle soon, whatever. Then this came on the radio, so I turned it up. They're peeling carrots listening. Like, even they were like, here, when someone give this fella an old cuddle, like, what is wrong with it? Like, and they don't like metal. They used to go around work, do Devil Hearts, and you go, and they pass me out and stuff. So even they were like, lads, like, Jesus Christ, grow up, like, we're progressive people.
But Joe, in that brilliant all the same though, as much as metal is kind of deep rooted in the underground and everything like that, when moments like that happen where it's kind of like everyone's looking in, like, I don't know if you guys read it now, but like when Sabbath played their last gig in Dublin in 2017, and anywhere you walked in Dublin,
in Belfast in 2013, but I wasn't at the one in.
Oh, were you at the one then? It was like Soundgarden, Motorhead, and Fate No More. There was a huge lineup.
Oh, it was Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats opened up from in Belfast.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was fucking. I was only 16, I think. Was the father brought me up to it. Like,
that's the job. They were brilliant in that tour. But like the point I was making was the like when you walked around Dublin that day, man. I was saying I went with my old lad now to it, like, do you know what I mean? And we were saying everywhere you walked, there was some fucker in denim and leather, or some goth full black, or some young fella with just a denim jacket but a huge killer's back patch in the back of it, like, do you know what I mean? Like a maiden back patch or something, do you know? And it's savage to see, and it was the same. I remember belting it in the car. I got a lift off my mate Sean, and I was fucking knocking back one of those, do you know those kind of half bottles of Bucky? I was knocking one of those back in the passenger seat. Because I was there, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it in time for Behemoth now, because I finished work at 6:10, and I was like, they're starting at like 6:30 in the button, so I was like, I need to be in there. And lo and behold, I literally, as soon as I stepped through the door, I ran into Chicken and Brian, and literally their whole like thing started off then, and I was
I was in Pharmacia and the concert. I think it was Reese that walked up with us, and you had gone on ahead.
I got ahead to one of the huge Behemoth fan.
Funny enough, right? Up until that point, I hadn't really given Behemoth much attention, and I didn't. In my head, sacrilegiously, I didn't mind missing a bit of it. I wanted to just stay and have another old drink or two with Reese.
Yeah.
And he was the same, like, so we walked on anyway. And I got to you know the bars in Arthur's Key Park that you could see inside the castle at that point.
Oh, yes,
I looked across and I just seen flames going whoosh, you know.
Oh,
and I was like, we gotta hurry, let's go. After that, I love Behemoth now. Like, they're just, you know.
No, because I got into Behemoth when I was like 15, and it was just that was kind of my slow introduction, I suppose, into like, say we call it extreme metal, like, you know. So I'm into Cannibal Corpse kind of, but then sure, like, once it kind of blackened kind of style came in, it kind of went off, and you know, like everyone kind of has that kind of band. It was for
100%.
For me years ago.
Yeah, like everyone has.
Heavy metal is.
Oh, that's
Sorry,
it. Like,
no,
you're all right. No, like I was just like I was just saying there about that gig, man. Like, it's so funny about Behemoth because I was never a big Behemoth fan, and every time I've seen Behemoth, it's been by total accident. I lived in America for a short spell a few years ago. I'm not messing. Saw Slayer 2 years before their farewell tour in America. I saw him in a college basketball gym. Weirdest shit ever. It was huge, like. And Behemoth were on just before him, and I remember thinking, Jesus, now that was actually pretty alright because I listened to them on record and wasn't a fan, but live they were fucking phenomenal. Like, I was there and I was like, what have I missed here? Do you know? But the same King John's, they were fantastic. They were really, really fucking.
Especially with a band like Behemoth, you want to see them in the dark. They kind of just create the atmosphere, and even if it was broad daylight during the summer, and they still fucking kill like each other.
Oh, that was it. The cool thing going on throughout that whole gig though was like the sun was slowly going down from the offset, like, do you know what I mean? It was literally slowly but surely, like.
Yeah. It was too perfect.
Yeah.
It was. Do you know what? If that was the last gig I ever went to, I would have been happy.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I think it was the last gig you went to.
I went to a few after that. Like, you know. Geez, that was 3 years ago already. Now it would be 3 years ago. 2018, wasn't it? Yeah, 2018.
2019, yeah. Summer, June
2019. 2 years ago.
I went up to see Slipknot because like Joe, the child is always telling me I still love Slipknot. I don't give a fuck.
I love Slipknot.
I sure fuck them, like, do you know what I mean? If someone, it's your taste of music at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's just like the first kind of heavy. I was into Metallica and Iron Maiden from my father's influence years ago. Like, they were kind of the band I saw when I was like, well, I was like fucking 16 or something like that. And I had to go see them. Behemoth were open up from again.
Oh yeah, actually,
they were fucking brilliant in the fucking tree ring, you know. So
yeah.
You know what? I'll tell you a funny one about Behemoth now, actually, after that gig, was I remember Nurgle posted something saying, he was just like, 2020, I'm going to take the whole year off, no touring or anything like that. And I only realized a few months after the pandemic started, I remember he posted that, and I just thought, Jesus, that was a really convenient year for him to decide that Behemoth weren't doing it.
Himself and Corey Taylor made pop toys themselves, I believe, on their
own. And I love Behemoth, but Nurgle's a bit of a fucking...
Oh, he's full of shit.
Do you know what I mean? He's full of shit. I follow him on Instagram and I was like, oh god.
Oh, I had to unfollow him. I had to. Just the poolside selfies, man, the clean shaven chest, him in the spa. I was like,
the yoga.
How satanic of you, Nurgle.
I was like, there's nothing extreme about
this. Look, don't get me wrong. Like, I thought the Satanist record was just fucking. I thought it was fucking unreal. Very different from other stuff. A lot of epic sounding.
A lot of.
On a Sunday, like do yoga and like Joe talking with it. It's kind of like, you know what I mean?
You're doing folding my laundry, and I'd be going, "Come on to me, box of berries." You know?
Every time you fold something, it's like Hail Satan. Hail Satan.
I'm gonna fold out my shirt into a pentagram.
But anyway.
No, a lot of online sources, like, because 2020 was like the end of the decade and stuff. A lot of people had their top 100 of the decade and stuff like that. The Satanist was actually on a lot of people's like number one on their top albums of the decade. Like, so it's an album I haven't tipped into too much now. I won't lie. I've listened to it once or twice. I need to give it a proper listen because every time I've listened to it,
you just have to sit down and listen to it. It's more of a like it's like any kind of black metal record that's, you know, like for example, Burzum, right? You kind of have to sit there and listen to the whole album, not so much track per track. It's very much
exactly, yeah. It's made to be listened to as a long play rather than divided into tracks, and that's what's happened with it. That's it, because that's what's happened every time I've gone to listen to it. Is like, you know, I'd be on the way to work and then I'm at work and it's like, right, there's another 3 songs, so then I jump in there and the whole, you know what I mean? You're kind of out of the groove of it then, like, you know what I mean? Since we've gone down the old rabbit hole of talking about gigs and stuff like that, John asked me this when we were chatting, and I keep going back to the John thing, but it's the Limerick connection. I can't help it. Like, you know, he asked me this, and I got thrown for a loop thinking about it now. But you've been going to gigs now for years as well. Like, What's your favourite gig you've seen in the city outside of the Castle gig now?
Oh fuck.
It's a hard one, isn't it? I was lost for a loop as
It
soon
is
as
a
you
hard
asked me
one.
that.
Now, for my explanation of things, I have missed a good few of the good ones over there. I'm a bit older than the lads. I'm 32, like, so I've been going to gigs since I was probably like 19, maybe 18, 19, when they were doing it in Bakers and all that, and when the siege started and everything. But like, from what I can remember, like, I missed Parkway Drive. I was absolutely sickened because I was huge into that metalcore thing years ago. I missed Cannibal Corpse. It's just, I worked as a chef a lot over the years, and you know, there ain't no going to gigs when you're a chef, like. But
that's it, yeah.
I suppose, like, what is the best one I've seen? You said Castle doesn't count, but sorry, it's the Castle.
For me, anyway, there's 3 gigs.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm sitting new.
3 gigs I can say now, and one is kind of just from a Sieger's perspective, because I'm a fan of the band, Zephire, band from England. I was a fan of him now. Like, I think they played briefly the Siege 2 years before or something. I was like, fuck, they're unreal. And I saw them then, it was early on in the Siege, and I was like, man, they're fucking serious. Like, you know, they were fucking good. Like, you know, they had just released their 2018 album. Like, it starts with I can't remember the name of it. But now, the guitarist now, Neil C. Blanche, he actually plays for My Dying Bride now. And they're one of my favourite bands as well, My Dying Bride. So that was one I think 60 or Destroyer 666 was pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of
my.
my.
But actually, for me, man, it's got to be Cannibal Corpse. Like, that was
a fantastic fucking
oh
gig.
Man, like, they're one of my favorite bands since I was like, and I never thought in a million years that Cannibal Corpse would play. Like,
actually,
Napalm Death would be a close second. You know,
that was brilliant. I got fucking racked a headbutt by a girl like this. I don't think I've ever told you this.
Nice.
I'm not shitting you now, right? I was up the front, and I ran into Dara Byrne at the time. And it was actually hilarious because Dara was going out with Beth at the time, and I was obviously still with Kira, like, you know. And you know, 2 girls, no interest. They were just dragged along by the pair of us, and they just sat at the back and they were like drinking wine or whatever. That was all good. I was with Dara. Dara turns around to go and get a pint, right? It was all good. And this one, who I can only describe, man, she looked like a female Galligan, right? And she had her hair. I'm not messing, like, she had her hair tied up, right, in these 2 kind of knots, and she had this black dungaree thing on, right? And I was taking no notice this style, right? She was about 1.5 foot shorter than me, but she pulls me from behind and just fucking clocked me a headbutt square here. And I kind of went back. I was like, fuck, like, you know, I went against the thing, and I was so lucky, right? Because any other situation, someone could have turned around and be like, oh, he pushed her and she's hitting him and slapping all this and whatever. I was so lucky because security, and there was a railing, or there wasn't a railing, but security were near enough to the doors because they were kind of careful. Because, you know, it's a big enough band, so they don't want anything to happen. So she was taken out straight away, whatever. And I was literally just standing there, just like holding my nose, like, what the fuck, like, you know? And I'm
sure from Kira or the better. I suppose, yeah. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, no, good. But like, literally, I'm with Kira then upstairs, and I'm with Dara and Beth, and you know, I'm there drinking a pint, and Kira's looking at me, and she's like, why do you have this cut above your nose? And I was like, oh, this one fucking hit me head, or whatever. Like, and I was very lucky now, I wasn't knocked out or anything. She just didn't hit me, you know, hard enough, you know. And fucking someone came up to me then later on, and they were like, oh, that was my friend so and so. I'm so sorry, she mistook you for her ex. And I was like, well, Jesus, like, do you know what I mean? But the worst part about it was, your one explained that her ex was a woman, like. So I'm there and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, like, you know, it goes from bad to worse, like, you know. I was like, fucking hell.
That's fun to tell the grandkids anyway.
Brilliant. I love that. That's actually excellent.
Just on to what you were saying about a minute ago, where I said that the Castle was my one gig or whatever. I actually take that back because I remember seeing Destroyer 666 and Decapitated. I think. The dad fell with the dreadlocks on him at the time.
He's still in.
That, no, like, again, at the time, I was still, you know, kind of still fond of the old metalcore and deathcore or whatever. Like, when I seen him, you know, when you listen to a record and you go, yeah, it's a bit much, like, whatever. And then you see him live, you're just like, wow. Like, I was actually converted that night now as well.
Yeah.
And, that's one of them. Like, I suppose Destroyer, Jamie dragged me out to that. Right? It was a great gig.
That was fantastic. That was one I didn't even think of now talking to John. And I remember, like, that was just fucking sauce. They did a Motorhead cover as well. I think they did Iron Fist that night as well. That was
Iron Fist, yeah. My fucking favorite Motorhead song. Oh my god.
Love
fucking Iron Fist, man.
I think it was Siege where I see Bloodshot Down for the first time as well. Would it be quick?
It would. Yeah. Modesty played that same.
Because I don't get like in between songs, like I've never seen many bands of the Siege get this kind of crowd attention. Like everyone was just going Bloodshot Dawn between songs. It was crazy. Like
I remember I found him by accident, like on Infidel Amsterdam. That guy was watching.
Oh yeah.
See, he had Bloodshot Dawn, and I was like, I know that name. And I looked back from the seat, and I was like, oh my god! And I got it years later, and I'm like, great.
And the Crawling as well, we played with them that time. I'm actually wearing the t-shirt I got that night.
Excellent.
Yeah, I was surprised by them as well. Like that's another.
It's kind of my stuff. I mean, the kind of death doom kind of stuff. I love
I
love that stuff.
I suppose, like, you know, I was very one-minded with metal until I kind of went to other gigs over the years and whatever. And like, even if at the time it doesn't hit you there and then, later on somehow it's going to pop back out at you, and you're next thing you know you're checking that band out. And, you know. It's just like it's fantastic, and I hope we get to continue that.
Yeah. That's it. That's the whole buzz of gigs, like, do you know what I mean? It's the best part of gigs, like, do you know, as good as it is seeing bands and stuff like that, it's the whole coming back and having like 2 new bands you didn't know about before that you're going to actively support and follow now, like, do you know what I mean? And I miss that so much because, like, I don't know if it was the case for you, but I found myself listening to way less new stuff last year because I wasn't going to gigs and being turned on to new stuff by, you know, even strangers in the smoking area. They might see you, like, you know, like if I didn't know you now, Aaron, and I saw you in an Napalm Death Top and I was there in the smoking area and we started chatting, I'd be there chatting like, oh, you should listen to Terrorizer, or you should listen to like a John Borge or something. You know, those conversations, that's what I miss like mad now. That's because I didn't realize how much of an extrovert I was until this all happened. Then I was like, Jesus.
Of course, yeah. Oh man, like everyone knows, like I fucking talk for Ireland, like everyone that knows me, like, but you don't really. I suppose you don't really realize the importance of those kind of situations in it, like, you know, where meeting in a smoking area and talking to people about different bands and, you know, and how, you know, how kind of, I don't know, how important it is in the long run, I suppose, to just as a whole, really, like, for especially discovering music and discovering kind of yourself in a certain scene and kind of feeling, do you know what I mean? It's like I'm explaining arspace now, but.
I totally get what you're saying, though. It's that collectivism idea of it, like that everyone is,
of course,
together
and being introduced. Sorry, but I could.
No, sorry, I'm after talking across you. Go on.
No, I keep doing it because I'm, you know, not anticipating you. Just the way the screen looks here, it's a bit behind or whatever. But like, I suppose, like, for a long time, like, I know that there'll be older people who'll be 10 years older than me would say, oh, there was no metal for a long time. There was very little.
No gigs anyway.
No gigs or whatever.
And then, bands anyway, young bands.
And then there was metal, and now there's lots of metal in Limerick. And like, Dublin always had metal, Cork always had a bit of metal, you know, Galway I'm sure as well. But, you know, it's like, what it did is like you wouldn't often see 20 years ago, say, in Limerick, you wouldn't see a lot of people dressed in black or with band t-shirts on. You might see 1 or 2. And, like, you know, now you just see, like, you go out in town, everyone's all painted up, wearing boots and, so everyone
wants to get playing music, so that's the main thing, no matter what it is, though.
It kind of brings out that it brought out the alternative scene that I suppose, like, people who weren't in that scene didn't know was there.
But it's even to touch on other stuff, like even like the hip hop stuff, like it's just anything alternative seems to be just exploding out of Limerick. About
Hazy Haze, strange by
all the PX lads, like, that's certainly an example. Like, it's just an epicenter for creativity at home. And I suppose it's amazing. Like,
at some point in the future, I would like to see, like, you know, in some sort of collaborative form, like those 2 genres that are now budding out of Limerick, maybe coming together for something
unique, not like Limp Bizkit or fucking.
Like, no, but like
something that's like, you know.
Remember the Road United compilation a couple years ago? Like that would be like if they did an Ireland one,
Limerick one, even
Limerick one, or whatever. Even if it's just a song or 2 or 3 songs, it would be really nice to see that come together. Like I've spoke about it multiple times with Dave Burke, myself, and as a Simple are always talking about it, and it's just something that it's always a case of. Oh, Tony Carberry started something, the Great Metal Meet or whatever, and he got as far as like getting a lot of people that are interested together, and then, you know, once you filtered out the people that thought it was just a good idea at the time, there was fuck all people left to actually were able to commit. Now, like when the lockdown is over, like Jesus, we're always up for, you know, like, I don't know about yourself, Aaron, but like I'm always mad to try different things, you know, and it's like a case of I believe that because hip hop and metal aren't similar doesn't mean that it doesn't work together, and like for Limerick it would be a great chance to grab that, like, you know, and put something out that's unique, you know, and whatever it is, like, Jesus, it doesn't matter, like, you know, it would just be nice to see them unified, and then recognises like that alternative scene.
Yeah.
You know.
But you know who the fella to get in contact about that now at the moment would actually be Hazy Hayes. Hayes has said several times over the last few
months.
weeks.
I know Aaron, but I know he was in a couple of years above me in school.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not like best friends with him, but we're definitely acquaintances. Like he's a good guy, like very nice.
Loads of those lads in PX are mad into the
Citrus Fresher Mikey. He was like one of the leaders in Lavas years ago, you know. And
that was it.
All the lads know like Gala and all fucking Mikey years, like, you know.
That's it. And the whole thing though, like if you want to do something like that where it's collaborative, is like the main thing I would do is like you don't want it to be, you want to be able to have it happen, but not for it to be too much, if you get me. You don't want it to be on the nose, kind of like the way that new metal kind of was in the 2000s. Yeah. It can't be like this really bombastic thing. You would have to it would be a case where like, but since you're so open to it and everything like that, we'd kind of jam it out and see what happens. Do you know what I mean? And I think the point you made.
I even know myself though, in it. Like I even know myself that I wouldn't. If that is it, that wasn't in my intention, but if it was to happen, say it'd have to be very
unique,
gritty, and it can't be polished, or it has to be something that is. It's not like Disney, like, you know. It has to be something.
But at the same time,
it has to be something decent.
Like I would envision something like that being like, you know, if you listen to, I don't know if you like Devin Townsend. I absolutely I love Devin Townsend's back catalog, especially Strapping Young Lad stuff as well. But like if you look at the way he is now, and songs like Kingdom and Jular and whatever it's like, it's extremely diverse, but at the same time it is really polished, and it's, you know, it's prog, whatever. Like Jular to me sounds like, like Beauty and the Beast, Gaston just like breaks off into song. It's got that feel to it, but it's metal, like, you know.
It has that's you know, with it, like.
That's how we envision something like that. But that's just me.
Yeah.
It's gas now that we, like, you know, when we were setting up this interview and everything like that, we were like, okay, we'll touch on this, and this. We touched on those things within 20 minutes of the interview. We're an hour in now, and we've talked about fucking the castle, the scene. We're talking about rap now.
I know, but Jesus Christ, like,
we work fast.
The two fucking biggest talkers in fucking Limerick, like, you know.
Oh man, who are you talking to? Like, do you know what I mean? I'm telling you, I can fucking talk to the wall. I'm telling you, best bit of advice I can give you after this. If you love talking, let's start a podcast. It's the best crack. Like, honest to God, like, because you get an excuse to talk to people during everything going on.
Yeah, honestly, whiskey. We have a bottle of whiskey and fucking a couple of cigarettes and ready to go, man.
See, the thing is, all you have to do, like, you don't need to buy mics or anything. Just use your webcam, like, do you know what I mean? Chat away with the webcam. There's a gas one now started recently called Only Cans. And it's literally a fella. It's just this lad who just has Zoom calls of people over like a drink, and it records it for an hour or two. And that was actually what the original thought for the podcast was. But like, I decided to take a break for this lockdown from the drink until like April 10th.
I seen that actually, man, fair juice, man. I was like, Jesus Christ, you're better man than I, like.
Oh man, I'm telling you, wait till April 10th, man. There'll be a panel podcast at some point now where there'll be cans involved, and I won't be able to put the fucking thing out, like, do you know what I mean?
I'll be there for that, my friend. Just to sit there and drink, do you know what I mean, for an excuse.
You'll be trying away, kicking and screaming.
I must remember to ask you this now before we sign off. I have mentioned it to John. I've mentioned it to Galligan. Aaron, I mentioned it to you a few weeks ago. We're doing a 2-part podcast around. I'm going to be putting it out the weekend of the siege. We're trying to put out a load of things to make up for the lack of the banter of the weekend of siege this year. So we're doing an episode where it's like punters and lads from bands that have played the siege. We're going to be sharing stories over a few drinks on one of the calls. Probably do it in about three or 4 weeks time.
100%.
Are you up for that?
100%. Me and Darren Bourne were talking about it earlier. Sure, like 100% set in stone, dude. I'll be honest. No bother at all.
So,
Joe, before you finish with us, just about the Pieta House fundraiser, you'll find the link on our page on Facebook. I will put it up on Instagram as well. And even like, you know, like, we're not expecting everyone to donate. If you just share it, like that, a few clicks of the share button, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
And thank you all as well for contributing to the cause.
Yeah.
That's it. Something as simple as a share genuinely does, so it can make so much of a difference, because one person sees it and that could be a 10-year-old donation there then, like, you know what I mean?
You know, so thank you for having us on as well.
Not about it. Is there anything you want to...
It's been a while since I've talked to you anyway, but you know, it's been like we're friends a long time, so it's nice to catch up, you know?
Oh, definitely. I don't think it'll be that long until we see each other again. I'd say give it about 3-4 months. I'd say we'll be in the beer garden and pharmacy having a few pints.
Oh, God.
All right. one I said.
Oh God.
Sure. Here, is there anything you want to say to the our listeners listening before we sign off, so lads?
Just follow the Pieta House, I suppose, and follow our fundraiser if you can. Share or donate, it'd be perfect. Keep an eye out for our demos releasing and a few designs coming up for shorts and stuff in the future. Yeah. So,
and when we have the single ready, we'll make a bit of noise about it. I'm sure there you go. Lash it up there for free and whatever.
That's the job. And we'll be here to give it as many shares as you want. Just give us a shout. We'll share it about. Like, do you know what I mean?
Man.
Thank you very much, Emmett.
All right, so lads, that is Z. Thanks very much for being on the podcast.
Wear your mask.